So you're thinking about your first track day. You've got questions. I've got answers. And that's what we're talking about. Let's throw the green flag on this episode. So Josh, this is different because usually you're sitting over there and now you're sitting over here.
I am.
But we're talking about something really important today. And that is a question that comes up all the time is, I want to do my first podcast. Wow. I want to do my first track day. What do I do? I've got questions. And you have those questions.
I do. I mean, it's funny. So I've always wanted to get on track. I've done some autocross. I've done supermoto events on kart tracks. I've done a ton of karting. I really want to get a car on the big track and go have fun with that. So that to me is it's the goal. So what am I doing?
Well, let's talk about that. The first thing you need to have is either a car or access to a car.
That was the first difficult thing. We're pretty sure. So my dad's episode, he's still autocrossing his 350Z, and I'm pretty sure that I will be able to get access to put that on the track. It's going to take some convincing, but I think we're close on this. So to me, I mean, for an inspection on that, like if we're going to do a base inspection on that, I mean, what are we looking for on that?
Yeah, if he's competing in autocross, it's probably almost ready to go for the track, if not ready to go. So what we're going to be looking at is everything nice and tight. So we're going to, what sometimes that's called shake the car down. So we're going to put on a lift and the technician's going to see if there's anything loose, steering, suspension components that are loose, wheel bearings, which are considered suspension. Is anything loose? Is there any play? We're going to look for any drips. Is any fluid leaking? You don't want any fluid leaking, not because it becomes slippery, but you don't want it all to leak out and then have a problem on track. So if something's starting to leak, it's probably going to start leaking more when it's under the demands of being on track. We're also just going to make sure that the tires are good. And what we're looking for there is, does it have good tread? Are the date codes, still within the last couple of years? Make sure there's no chunks missing. And lastly, we're going to look at the brakes. We're going to make sure that there's good pad material. And we want to check the kind of what the condition of the brake fluid is. Anytime a car goes on track, you want good brakes. Everyone thinks, well, I want to go fast. I want to have acceleration. You got to stop the car. It's a safety thing, right? So if there's, there's always needs to be updated brake fluid, but there should also be updated track pads or even autocross pads for that matter. We can help with selection and identify those too based on how the car is being driven and the type of car it is.
And that's okay. So you guys are going to look at all of that. So that way I can get out on the track and be like, okay, we're good. I'm not thinking, what's going to fall off?
Right. And there's one other thing I want to throw in there too.
Yeah.
A lot of track days, they have their own tech form.
Ooh.
We will go through that tech form for you and we will sign off on it too. So if there's something specific, so there's some organizations that say you cannot have a crack in your windshield. There are other organizations say it just can't be in your line of sight. Okay. Well, you know what? Let's help identify that. So we'll make sure that you are 100% covered. So when you roll up and register or sign in at the morning of your event, you're good to go. Not to worry.
Surprises or not. I mean, you're going to get surprised enough out on the track. I'm assuming that surprises in the tech lane are bad.
Yes, you don't want those. It makes for a rough day.
Speaking of rough days, I don't really ever want to have this rough of a day, but I need a helmet. I've got a couple of motorcycle helmets, but I'm assuming for like most track events, those are probably a no-no. Yes. So what am I looking at for a helmet? Because I see that there's the ones that like have the air vent in that are $1,200. I'm assuming I don't need to go that route.
You don't.
Good.
Yeah, there's a lot of good helmets in the $250 range and up. So you're going to need something that's called SA 2020. So we're recording this episode in May of 2025. And what happens in October of 2025 is the next version of the SA helmet comes out. So it's going to be SA 2025. Helmets are generally good for 10 years. So if you had a 2020 helmet, that's good till 2030. And that SA rating is what most track day organizers would expect. I definitely recommend a full face helmet. Some organizers let you go with open face, but I do like the full face because, believe it or not, with that window open, sometimes you get some rubber chunks coming in the car. And the last thing you want to do is get that in your face or worse, your eye. And you don't need any fancy vents or cooling systems. You just need a good helmet that fits your head properly. And depending upon where you live, there's going to be organizations and stores near you that you can go to. You can try them on. If you have to do mail order, maybe call and just confirm sizing before you hit that buy button.
Sure. Because, I mean, to me, this is like a hat or a tennis shoe. You probably want to try it on before you commit to it. If it's shaped differently than your head, I don't think there's going to be anything worse than being on track and something squeezing your head the entire time.
Right. And you know what? And I did some, I was at a kart rental track this week, and I grabbed the small helmet. I fit in a small helmet in Bell and Zamp, and I grabbed the loaner helmets they had because we were out of town. This small helmet was loose.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah. So extra small was the way to go. Glad I figured it out because you don't want that thing bouncing around, right? So sizing is important on helmets. That
sounds inconvenient. You mentioned checking the tires, checking the brake pads, things of that. Are there recommendations? I mean, like this, Dad drives this car. I don't know if we want to dump a ton of money into race tires for this yet. I mean, I'm going to go on the track, but it's not going to live there, I guess I would say. Still, it's going to have an interior. It's not race car yet. What are your recommendations for that?
There's a lot of good tires. Most people doing track days are going to look for what's called a 200 treadwear tire. You don't need to get that aggressive if you're going out occasionally, just trying it. You can look at a 400 or 340 treadwear tire. I got to tell you, my first track day ever, I was in run flats. And nobody gave me grief. And they said, listen, you're here. You are learning on a tire that's hard and dense and probably a little slippery for what we're doing, but that's the best way to learn. So my advice is always go out with what you have. You're not going to be pushing 10/10ths, which means 100%.
Sure.
You're going to be out. Do I enjoy this? Is this what I'd like to do? Am I worried there's other cars that might be around me? Then as you get more comfortable with that and you're like, I'm doing this more and more. Dad doesn't know I'm taking it, so he hasn't said anything. You can buy the other set of tires.
That makes sense. That makes when he sees they're balled up, he may have questions.
Yes.
That's a good point. I did read something in the tech information about needing tow hooks for the car. I'm hoping I don't need tow hooks for the car, but they're supposed to be there. What's involved with that? Am I cutting my car up here or something, or what?
Depends on the car. So the reason that tow hooks are required by some organizers is if you were to go off track or you were to stall on track, the last thing you want is that tow truck. Because it's not a typical tow truck that will show up to your house if you have cars to get towed. It's basically a truck with a strap. Where do you want that guy sticking that strap? That's the way it comes down to. You want them to put it where you want it. So a lot of today's cars have tow hooks that can thread into the bumper. So there's a little disc about the size of a nickel that gets popped out and a tow hook gets screwed in. Some cars come with those. They only come with one because how often do you really need a tow hook on the front or rear? But there's aftermarket companies that will sell tow hooks for that specific thread pitch. And every car's a little bit different. And what you do is when you get to the track, you pop those little nickel-sized plastic covers off, you screw in the tow hooks, you're good to go for the day. Okay. If you're doing track days on a more regular basis and you don't like the way those protrude, there are some flexible cloth ones, like a webbing, that can kind of be tucked out of the way, and they attach under the car. And during the event, you might have a sticker that shows where that is, just so it's very clear where they should be tying up if you do go off track.
That way, if it's in the gravel, if you are in the beach, at least there's an arrow that says hook here.
Hook here. Help me.
Don't hook to my fender or to the grill or anything. That makes sense.
Can you imagine a hook coming up through your car's condenser or the radiator? Because that felt like something underneath that was strong. It's happened.
That's solid. We'll just hook there. What's this green fluid? That all makes sense. Something else. I mean, 350Z. Do I need like a track specific alignment, especially starting out here? Is that a big thing for me?
No, it's not. So if this is your first track day, just come as it is. If the steering wheel is way off, come see a shop like Atomic Autosports. We'll get you set up. But no, just come on out, have a good time. Your first track day, you're not going to notice a difference between 1 degree camber in the negative in the front versus negative 3.5 degrees camber in the front. You will eventually if you continue to do this. Then you want to look at maybe a more aggressive alignment. But for now, what you're running, let's get you on track and have some fun.
I love that. So it sounds like getting the car prepared, there's steps to follow. You guys obviously do a lot of help with that. what happens when I get to the track? I mean, I'm pretty sure it's not just show up and there's the track, go drive around in this direction. It does not seem like that doesn't seem like a good idea.
There's a couple steps ahead of time. So number one is I always recommend reading the event rules, and sometimes those are called supplementals or supplements or sups. There's sort of a guide page or two that might be sent to you via email after you registered. Read those over because they'll tell you whether or not it's a cash only event. I've seen folks roll up and they don't have the cash. Great. Ooh. What are we going to do? There might be information on where you can and can't park. What time is the driver's meeting? What time is registration open? If you have to do tech at the facility, what time is that? You want to make your morning as easy as possible, smooth as possible. So knowing what's happening is key. So once you get there, find a spot you're allowed to park and park your car. That's where all your gear is going to be there during the day because you're going to clean everything out of your car. Check in at registration, make sure everything's smooth there. Get your wristbands or whatever you need to do. There's going to be a driver's meeting. You want to make sure you get to the driver's meeting because they're going to tell you how the day is going to flow, where it's going to flow, meaning, hey, this is where you need to go to get on track. Sometimes different flags mean different things. So they're generally accepted flags, and flags are thrown at corners and at start finish based on current track conditions. And we won't go through what they are today, but there are some times when a red flag at a track might mean stop where you are, safely stop where you are, pull off to the right or left, and wait there for instructions. But there are other times when it says slow your car down and find the next corner station that is manned. That's where you want to pull off because we don't have a vehicle that's going to come around and sweep you up. You have to watch for the corner worker to give you instructions. So very important to understand that. Also, they're going to talk about your run groups. So you're going to have a novice group, an intermediate group, and an advanced group. And depending upon how the day is, there might be 2 novice groups, there might be 2 advanced groups. And what they do is they break you up how you registered, but then also any input that may have happened during the day. So they might see that a novice is running super well. Somehow they got a novice and they've already been on track before. They might move somebody up to intermediate. They might see someone in an intermediate and eventually throughout the day bring them down the novice because they need a little bit more coaching and maybe some classroom sessions. But the beginning of the day is so important at the track event because that's what's going to set the tone and pace for the day. And you want to make sure there's no questions. One last thing to talk about is the point buy. So during sessions, a lot of times, maybe not novice sessions, but intermediate and advanced for sure, sometimes novice, there's a point buy. That means when there's a quicker car that's coming up behind you, you need to give them some indication it's okay to pass you. Well, every track and every organization is a little bit different on how they handle that. So you really need to understand, is it a straight arm out? Is it an arm over the roof of the car? What are you doing to indicate that? And just bring a notebook because there's a lot that's covered and you want to make sure you understand it.
I was about to say, the way you've explained the driver's meeting, I mean, it sounds like driver's meeting. And I mean, both of us as people that own business, I think of networking. And this does not sound like a networking event. This is much more instructional.
This is pay attention. Don't be the guy that's still over at his car or her car trying to figure things out. Yeah, you got to pay attention. You got to be listening because if you don't understand it, I mean, it could be dangerous.
Yeah, no, that makes really, really good sense. I am not planning on this. What happens if I end up saying, oh, I just came from that corner, meaning I end up spinning? What do you do in most cases?
Number one is you need to, come to a complete stop, not on the track. If you do find yourself on a track, get moving as quickly as you can and make sure you can orient yourself where you're going to be on one edge of the track because a car coming up behind you will have a lot more track if you're on one edge or the other as opposed to being stuck in the middle. If you are coming to a stop maybe in a gravel pit or in the grass, the first thing to do is to look for a corner station. And that keep in mind, that corner station might be behind you. So just like the airline instructions.
If the track's out there, the corner station may be behind you. I got it. Yeah. Got it. Makes sense.
That corner worker might be giving you instructions on not to move or to move because they might see something on your car that you can't.
Sure.
If your car were to be on fire, that is the only time when you should exit the vehicle. You should not get out and wait for a tow. You stay in the vehicle. That's the safest place to be unless it is on fire. But if that corner worker is giving you some instructions, follow those instructions. If they're not, take a deep breath, get oriented to where you are and safely and slowly pull onto the track and then get up to speed as quickly as you can. After that happens, you need to come into the pits. 4 off, that means 4 tires, 4 wheels off, is generally a mandatory black flag stop. The event organizer or the lead instructor wants to ask you, are you okay? What happened? What did you learn? And if you don't know what happened, you didn't learn anything, let's get out of the car and let's have a conversation. Because if you knew what happened, you're less likely to allow that to happen again. If you don't understand why that happened, then we need to have sort of a basic discussion on car handling, entry speed, braking threshold, those sort of things.
Makes sense. I mean, you've talked a lot about instruction in terms of they're going to tell you this, they're going to tell you that, they're going to tell you where to go. They may tell me where to go. That all being said, I mean, should I get an instructor for this? I mean, should I be hiring someone to hang on for dear life in the passenger seat?
Not yet.
Okay.
Yeah. So if you're going to your first track day, more than likely there's going to be at least one instructor that's going to help you. If you do something like auto interest, there's going to be lots of instructors that can help you.
Nice.
But at most events, there's at least one person that can coach you. You can always go and ask them questions. Matter of fact, I was running in an event here recently. I was in the intermediate group, and I went and I grabbed one of the coaches. And I said, listen, I'm going to work on my braking a little bit. Here's what I'm currently doing, and here's what I'm experiencing with my car, and here's my car. Here's what I'm running today. And he gave me a couple of ideas, which were very helpful. So you can always reach out to a coach, no matter what your level, but especially as a novice. They might have somebody in the right seat for you. They might not, but there's generally going to be a classroom session where you can go and ask questions. Don't be afraid to ask questions. Because if you're the first one to ask, everyone else is going to start asking as well. You will hire a coach if this is something you get really passionate about. You want to get faster and you want to do more of it. Then you might do that. There's also remote coaching. So if you were to buy some sort of data acquisition device, which are not terribly expensive, that person can review that data remotely after your track day and give you some tips and tricks.
Interesting. I mean, from that, there's the most common mistake, I'm pretty sure, is everyone showing up for their first track day and thinking, I should be in the advanced group. Mm-hmm. I believe that's probably the most common mistake. So we're going to ask, what's probably the second most common mistake that people make?
Oh my gosh. It's probably a tie. The first is not upgrading the brake fluid. So what will happen is brake fluid has a boiling temperature, and the standard brake fluid in the cars that we drive on the street is either .3 or .4. Under track conditions, even mild track conditions, that brake fluid can boil. What happens when brake fluid boils is it creates air in the system, and you get a spongy or soft pedal. That creates panic as you're trying to stop after a long straightaway. So make sure you get that update. The other thing that is overlooked all the time, or the unreasonable expectation, is that you brought enough food and beverage. This is a demanding sport, even on your first event. You don't drink enough water or Gatorade. You don't have enough, sort of snacks or proteins. So make sure you pack a good thing, because I don't know, it could be hit or miss whether or not the concession stand is supposed to be open, not open. Did they bring enough burgers to grill up? Those sort of things. So pack accordingly. My go-to is always a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. At every track day.
Always bring snacks.
Yes.
Always bring snacks.
Yeah.
Then that doesn't matter if you're on track or if you're just, at a picnic. Bring snacks. That's a big one. What's a basic driving technique I should be thinking about? Of course, like I said, it's like 85% of people are above average drivers. I'm included in that. So what should I be focusing on here?
Smooth is fast.
Okay.
That's it. Don't mash the brakes. Don't mash the acceleration or throttle pedal. Smooth is fast. Easy on the brakes, easy on the throttle. There may be driving situations where you have to unsettle a car with aggressive braking or transfer weight with excessive acceleration. You're not there yet. Be smooth. Be consistent. Be safe. Remember, this is your first time out. You want to go out again, you got to bring that car back, and you got to be invited back. Because if you're an aggressive driver out there, your first time, they're going to say, I don't think this person should run with us again.
So don't turn the car into a paperweight, is what you're saying?
No.
Okay, good call. Speaking of not turning the car into a paperweight, what are things that I need to be monitoring when I'm on track? I know I shouldn't be glued to the temperature gauge, but should I be checking that?
Yes, absolutely. So I always like to do what's called a gauge sweep. So, and you're only going to do those on straightaways. That's the only time your eyes should be for just a second away from any mirror or out the windshield. So what I do is as soon as I am coming out of a turn onto a straightaway, I'm going to look in the mirrors and I'm going to quickly make sure that there's nobody ready to pass me or that I need to be aware of that. You're always going to hold your line. You don't move over for someone to pass you. It's their responsibility. Once you've made sure that your mirrors are clear, I always do a gauge sweep, left to right. I look at all my important gauges. Are there any lights on that weren't on last lap? Right? That is, I'm getting to the pits and seeing what's going on. But you should always make sure that the gauges are where they need to be normal. And I have to tell you, during a track day, you're going to use more fuel.
Sure.
Keep an eye on the fuel gauge because the last thing you want to do is not have enough fuel to get home.
Does that seem like a voice of experience here?
It happened to someone I know this weekend. Luckily, I've caught it before it was too bad. But somebody was having issues on track this past weekend, and it turns out, hey, it looks like you're out of gas.
Oh yeah, they need that.
Yes,
they need that. I know we mentioned snacks. We mentioned water. Bring just too much of it, basically, because worst case scenario, you feed a friend and make a friend in the process.
I love that.
What snacks, helmet? What else should I bring?
A few things. So first off is something called a torque wrench. So you're going to want to make sure your lug nuts are torqued. And what that means is every car has a lug nut torque setting that's specific to your vehicle. It's going to range anywhere from like 85 to 150 foot-pounds. So bring one of those because you want to make sure your wheels are tight. And what can happen is as they warm up in track, they might loosen a little bit. Now, usually after your first and second session, even though you check them the rest of the day, they're generally good. You're going to want a tire pressure gauge. So for your first outing, you're probably not going to get too crazy with setting and changing tire pressures, but because of the heat that's generated because of the friction, and if it's a warm day, those tire pressures may elevate, and you want to bring them back down to a more reasonable level. Question comes up: what tire pressures do I run? It depends. Too much for this episode.
We could do an episode on that, it sounds like.
Yes, okay. Absolutely. You're going to bring some window cleaner. So bugs are generally in areas that have a lot of trees and vegetation, and there's a lot of bugs that you hit. So you want a clean windshield. I like to bring some microfibers with that and also some quick detailer. I don't know, a clean car is a fast car.
Sure.
So, being able to wipe down, if you have the room, some bug and tar remover, because that will get those nasty bugs off your front bumper too. You don't want them too long. And then any fluids that you need. So your brake fluid, some of your motor oil. You really shouldn't have to need antifreeze, but if you have the room and can bring a gallon of that.
Perfect. And I mean, would you throw that like in a big like Rubbermaid container or something? Yeah,
the best thing to do is find a Rubbermaid tote that fits either in your back seat or in your trunk.
Nice.
And then what you do is that's your track pack.
Oh, I like it.
Right? So you're not taking that window cleaner and now putting it in your garage inventory. It stays in that tote because when it's time to go to your next track day, because you're going to fall in love with this after your first one.
Sure.
You just grab that, you open it, yep. Boom, done. You don't have to worry about what isn't in there, what's supposed to be in there.
It's just there.
And if you want, create a checklist, either on your phone or paper, so that you can quickly go through and make sure I got my torque wrench and my 17 millimeter socket that goes with that, and my tire pressure gauge, blah, 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 all the way down.
Love that. I appreciate this because I feel ready now to actually take this on rather than just being like, hey, I'm going to show up and I'm going to be the fastest guy there. I actually feel like, okay, I have an idea of what to expect. No, I really appreciate this. This has been really good for me.
Good. I have two last things to say that you should bring.
Love it.
Maybe three. Bring a camping chair.
Oh, yeah.
Bring some extra clothes, maybe a hat, another shirt, might get a little sweaty. And bring your smile. Have a good time. I love it. Number one, have fun.
Love it. Absolutely love that. I'll bring all that.
Are you ready to go?
I think so.
Let's get you to the track.
Perfect. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Josh. Great questions.